Morning, everybody. I am homesick today, but I needed to come in and make this video for you so you can continue to move on with all of the trig ratio stuff that we've been doing, because we have a test that's going to be coming up on Thursday. If you look over at the whiteboard on that side of the classroom, and I have no idea if it's actually on that side of the classroom when things are getting projected on my whiteboard and things, but it should be over there or over there. It's probably not back there. Okay, but if you look over at the whiteboard, you should see our schedule for the week under geometry concepts. Monday, we're going to be finding missing angles using the tangent ratio. Tomorrow, we're going to look at sine and cosine ratios. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do review. And Thursday, we're going to do the test. And if we don't move on today, we don't have time for both a review and a test. And I'd rather not go into a 4-day weekend without having done both of those things. So today the goal is finding missing angles using tangent. Now, if you recall, before I left, we were looking at triangles, and if I gave you a side and an angle, you were able to find the missing side. The tangent ratio is tangent of theta equals my opposite, and this is the first step of all these problems, my opposite over my adjacent, and just for completion's sake, a reminder, this is my hypotenuse. I almost said hippopotamus, which is not a math term. So tangent of theta equals my opposite, which is x, over my adjacent, which is 13. I should have plugged in theta here. Tan of 42 equals x over 13, because tangent is opposite over adjacent. Tangent of 42. Make sure that your calculators are in degrees. We've talked about this before. You shouldn't see a DEG or a D. There shouldn't be an R anywhere, otherwise you're in the wrong mode. I'm going to plug in 42, and then on this calculator, I then hit tan. Some of your calculators will be tan and then 42. You have to look at your calculator. That's why we spent all that time on that last week. The tangent of 42 is 0.9004, which equals x over 13. But the goal here is to solve for x. So we'll multiply both sides by 13. We'll cancel out on the right side, and x will equal 11.71, rounding to the second decimal. Okay, that's what we were doing last week, and we did that with sine, we did that with cosine, we also did it with tangent. And like last week, where we started with tangent and then jumped into sine and cosine, we will also be starting with tangent now that we're going the other way. The goal now is, instead of giving you one side and the angle, the goal now is, if I give you both sides, can you solve for the angle? Which, again, why that equation is so important. The tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. I actually wrote the equation correctly this time. Okay, so we've got that. This is going to be kind of, well, it's our equation. It's what we'll be using this whole time, this ratio here. Okay, but now we've got to go backwards, because now when I write my equation, well, first of all, first step first, make sure that we've got opposite, adjacent, and my hypotenuse. Remember, this is the important angle, the angle that we're talking about. Everything is relative to this angle. And while before, last week you had a little choice, that if you said, you know what, I don't like this angle, you could calculate this angle and use that one instead. You can't really do that. I mean, you could, but it's going to always be way more work. You kind of have to use this angle. This is always going to be the angle that's important. It's the one we're looking for. Could you use this angle and then, once you have found this angle, solve for that? You could, but there isn't the benefit that there was to it, like when tangent was gross and we wanted the x on the top instead of the bottom. That kind of stuff is not going to work here. Okay, so we've got everything labeled, our opposite, our adjacent, and our hypotenuse. Tangent. Tangent of theta. Remember, theta is an angle measurement. Well, I don't know the angle measurement here. So I'm just going to let that be x. Tan of x equals my opposite, which is 14, over my adjacent, which is 19. And here's where things are going to get a little bit different. On your calculators, I'm going to pause for a moment and let everyone get their calculators. we could pause the video, that would be cool. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here awkwardly. Huh, my hat matches my sweat. It's a nice look. Anyway, now that I hope that you have your calculators out, what we're going to do is we're going to take 14 and divide it by 19. We're going to simplify that or turn it into a decimal. Probably a better way to say that. So 14 divided by 19 equals 0.7. 0.73684 yada 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 yada. Okay, equals the tangent of x. So before, what we talked about is we knew because of the angle measurement the ratio, and we would use the ratio to help determine the missing value. Now we know the ratio, and we're going to ask your calculator, okay, that's the ratio. What's that angle? So on your calculator, we need 0.73682, and most of you are just going to be able to leave that in your calculator. And then you're going to go and you're going to have to stare at your calculator a little bit because it's not going to be exactly the same method on every calculator. Second function, tangent. And there should be, you're looking for a tan to the -1 button. You may also be looking for something that says arctan. You're going to be looking for one of those. And like the previous version, you may need to plug this number in and then tan to the -1. You may tan to the -1 and then this. Although for most calculators, I think it'll be this and then tangent to the negative first. But if you have arctan, it's probably arctan and then 0.73684. On my calculator, and this is the calculator that I'm using, is the calculator that I've got 30 of. So if you're on your cell phone and don't own a calculator, it may be a good idea to be practicing with these because that's what you'll be using on the test because you can't use your cell phone calculators on tests. But I'm using second function tan because it's in yellow there. And after I do that, I see the tangent of x is 36.38. Sorry, this is the tangent ratio for a 36.38 degree angle. I should also make sure and check in, like, does that make sense? Does that seem like a reasonable amount? Well, I know that tangent is opposite over adjacent, and because I'm getting 14 over 19, I know that I should have an angle measurement less than 45. And 36.38 is less than 45, but still kind of closest because they're relatively similar to each other. This seems like a reasonable answer to me. So I feel pretty good about my process, okay? I'm going to try and get one more in. I'm using Screencastify instead of Screencast-O-Matic. So I'm not 100% sure what my time limit is, but I think I've got time for one more here. I'm going to leave that up. While I'm erasing, I'm just going to keep talking because, again, I don't know my time period here. There is going to be homework posted, so as soon as this video is done, go ahead and jump into that. I don't know, let's do something ridiculous. Let's nice big numbers. Just because big numbers are fun. Well, I got about a minute left. Okay. Same process as before. We're going to use this equation, plug our values in. Tangent of theta. Theta is my angle measurement. I don't know my angle measurement, so tangent of x equals, I missed my first step again. I keep forgetting to do that. My opposite is opposite that important angle. My hypotenuse is opposite my right angle, which leaves this my adjacent. Remember, adjacent means next to. So this is the side that is next to the important angle, but that isn't the hypotenuse, because you can only have one label for these. So tangent of x equals my opposite, which is 52, over my adjacent, which is 373. On your calculators, 52 divided by 373 equals 0.139410. So tan x equals that. I'm just going to leave that in my calculator and hit second function tan right away. And that's going to tell me that this is a 7.94 degree angle, which, given how much bigger this side is, seems reasonable to me. All right. That's my 10-minute mark, but I think that I am good there. So I'm hoping to be back tomorrow. There's a chance that I'm not. If not, expect more videos because videos are fun. Otherwise, go ahead, jump into the homework, and I will see all of you hopefully tomorrow.